Hey guys, how's it going? Keep this real short and sweet. Today we're going to talk about the power of writing the underdog. And I want to simply talk to you about what it means to write an underdog character, what an underdog character looks like, and three things that you're going to want to do in order to help write your future underdog story. Whether it be for a short story, a novel, a science fiction classic, whatever you're working on. So step number one, real simple. The underdog must be somebody that is either small physically in stature or small emotionally or mentally in stature. What do I mean by that? They must think less of themselves than they are. They may feel like they're ashamed of their body in some sort of way, or they're just physically smaller. You look at the case of David, in the story of David and Goliath, he was physically smaller than his brothers. And so he was assumed to not be a person who could stand up to bigger threats. Even though he faced lions and different things like that and kept the sheep safe for several years as a shepherd boy. But he was looked at as unassuming, looked at as young, and looked at as someone who couldn't take care of himself. But then he ended up facing a giant who his brothers could not face. So that's an idea of an underdog story. The second thing you want to do is you want to make the odds so insurmountable that there is no way that the reader, when they're reading the story, will feel like the main character will get over them. They're asking themselves, how will the character get through this situation? Situation like that, I think of as WWE is the story of Daniel Bryan. You had Daniel Bryan, who was a guy who wrestled all over the world beforehand, but he was a lot smaller guy compared to, say, Batista, Triple H, Randy Orton. They were not only bigger than him physically, they were bigger in the status of the company. But Daniel Bryan came through during WrestleMania 30, I believe, in New Orleans, and actually not only beat Triple H to get a spot in the main event at WrestleMania, but then to end up beating both Daniel Bryan and Randy Orton, two of, at the time, the biggest stars in the company, to become the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. And the Yes movement just spread all over the place. I mean, anybody that follows wrestling, you know who Daniel Bryan is. And then the last thing is that whatever the odds are, by the end of the story, the hero has to be able to overcome them. If you have a young lady who is being body shamed because she's told she doesn't look pretty enough or whatever, but at the end of the story, she ends up becoming the prom queen, which is something she's wanted to do. Or she ends up being the one to win the science fair. Or, she ends up becoming the one to save the day at the school or whatever. You have a young man who doesn't feel like he's big enough to handle a football situation, but he's the one that scores the winning touchdown at the end of the game. Whatever, they have to overcome that circumstance. And so I hope that as you guys write your heroes and different things like that, consider writing a story with an underdog. Consider writing a story where the main character may not be so sure of themselves. They may not always have everything all together. They may not look like they have everything together. They may be going through a bad situation at home, and no one thinks anything good is going to come out of them. But just develop them. Show the world that just because the underdog's the underdog doesn't mean the underdog can't win at the end. So here's my question. Who's your favorite underdog that you've ever read about, watched on TV, or watched in a movie? Who's your favorite underdog? That's the question I'm going to leave you with. That's what I want to see in the comments. As always, guys, I greatly appreciate everything you do. I greatly appreciate your comments. I greatly appreciate your feedback and everything, and your continued support and subscriptions. Thank you so much. Guys, be blessed. Be a blessing to somebody. Take care.